I've got to make the best of it. So I'm positioning these units so they're actually in the battle, not at the back too much. Getting base defences there, and reinforcements.
Battle control initialized.
Hello there, comrades and cannon fodder. It's Dvoid here. I've got a 1v1 multiplayer game, and we're on the Highlands map. I'm using Russia, my opponent's using Russia as well for this one. Got a few spectators. We had a brief pause at the start, but I'm using my secondary green colour. I'm in the top left, and my opponent, that's because my opponent's got this red colour. So obviously if I use my own red colour, they would be varied slightly by the, you know, in the menu. If we both pick the same red, it'll vary it automatically, but it's still, they'd look too similar for the purposes of this post. So I always go with my secondary green colour if my opponent's red. And we both decided to go for the central oil derrick. And I've got these 3 rifles have arrived, but my opponent's got a 5 stack and my engineer ran into the gunfire. That was very lazy of me not to notice. And I had to fall back. I haven't got an engineer anyway, so all I'm fighting for is to stop my opponent from capturing this, but I could lose all of those. But I decided to send my most of them back to my base, and I sent a couple of rifles around this side and one this side. Now I'm hoping to catch this engineer, or at least try and get him on his, as he's capturing it or something. Yeah, he's vulnerable, look, I should have moved in straight away. But because I've lost this first engagement and I can't match my opponent for, you know, with a main group, a single group of rifles, because they've got more, I've split up my units and my opponent's captured that and I've caught the engineer, look. And I've sent a couple of rifles each way to check out these oil derricks. Now I'm guessing that's the first one they went for because my engineer went at the same, roughly the same time. So now I'm guessing that they're not on the way here. But if they do train another engineer, they may send it straight for these oil derricks. So these rifles should tell me. But my opponent's actually training the rocket soldiers now. Yeah, I got a few soldiers. Now, I bet not a great start. My opponent's got a few more rifles, five more, but we've both got our 3 rocket soldiers. But I've only lost a couple of units less now, so I kind of recovered from the bad start. I've got my APC. My opponent, I'm guessing that's theirs, just about to build. And I'm trying to avoid the view range of this oil derrick because I don't want them to know I'm here. But because I haven't got an engineer and I thought it's going to take a while to secure this and get an engineer there and capture it, plus I may be defeated anyway trying to fight for this, so I just decided to wreck it and move on. Now my opponent's securing the second one and their engineer is actually inside this APC. They've trained a second one. It's in there, and because I saw that their scout vehicle is not with their infantry, I decided to move forward because I thought, well, if they do engage me with their starting infantry force, they'll only likely have a few rocket soldiers and they won't have the scout vehicle with them. So I'm moving forward here. We've got another pause. There we go, sorted. And I'm moving forward. I use this rifle as a scout to tell me what's going on, and I saw that my opponent's got these ore trucks here. And I saw rocket soldiers, so I ordered them to target these rocket soldiers, but the rest of the force showed up. Now, my APC sadly was blocked by my own troops, but I'm in retreat now. I've lost a couple of rocket soldiers there. They're not in low power at the moment and they haven't had to sell a refinery, but it may have interrupted their build order. If they place that 4th one, let's see what their power supply is. Yeah, if they place that fourth one, because I've destroyed the power plant, it'll put them into low power. So when they do, they'll probably sell one of these two. You wouldn't sell that one because there's a good ore supply. But if you were to sell one of these two, you've still got one of them left to continue mining here. But it's essential that you do set up that fourth one quickly. And they've captured this oil derrick. Now they're in low power luck because of the damage I did. Now you don't send rocket soldiers as scouts. That's a mistake. Let's see. Yeah, they're building their heavy tanks. I've got one rolling out there. I've got two. Let's just have a look at the army values at this point. 9,000 to me, 8,000 to my opponent. Might catch that rocket soldier there, look, with my rifleman. With a bit of luck, he'll have to be close. Yes, you'll see him, no problem. Right. Now, I've got my main army here, but this MCV, look, the enemy found it. It was very... I squashed the engineer. That was neat. I've ordered that to retreat. And if I'd have left it for a moment longer, that engineer could have captured it. And once it's under capture, you can't sell it. Now, look, my opponent backed off straight away because they saw defences and these units. So they're smart. That was the wise choice, but... is it wise pursuing them? I thought if you attack fleeing units, you can wipe them out very easily, but you have to be careful of them preparing a defence and stopping. Now, I saw forces here, look, moving forward. So I've backed off with this, but you can see my enemy's main response is here, and I'm now... this is the only thing guarding this. That's a mistake. I should have the minimal amount of defences I should have is getting the primary production here. Right. I've fallen back and it's knocked away this attempt at an expansion, and now my opponent's set up for their expansion this side. So they've gone this way instead of this way. That should have told me, and now I am expanding here, that's fine, but that should have told me what they were doing, and I wasn't sure if they had any presence here. Look, I've got these units, but I had my hands full. I didn't know if they could have something here, for all I knew. So, you know, I was unsure at this point. And this is when my cash ran out. I'm at 0, and my opponent, let's have a look, he's alright for cash, and their army, we're at 19 each. So at this moment, we're even, but my money is really in a bad way. And I saw this is warning, look, so I am responding. And pretty much, it's a really decent force. Look, I'm building base defences. Now, this should be backing away. And the thing is, if I order it to back away when it's under heavy fire, it can get blocked by my own men and killed like the APC. Now, this is too late. Now, I am ordering it away, but look, it was destroyed before it even packed up. So I've lost one MCV, and I'm moving forward, but I've got the view range of my structures, and I'm using my tanks. I'm just sending them forward to crush. Now, we're at 14,000 each. My opponent's dropped to 13. I'm up to 15. Bit of a distraction. Now, they've got a small force here, and look, I've got my primary production, and I've ordered it here. I've captured this oil derrick as well. I've got an engineer, so it needs to get out of there. But I am building training units, look. So here we go. I know they've got a force advancing, and there's very little here, look, to stop them. So I've responded with everything. 16,000 army value each, but I was confident I could hold them until my main force arrived. And I've got an idle ore truck, and these ore trucks are mining nothing, these three in the middle, so they should be up here. And I should be expanding, you see, I know that's secure. There's nothing there because of the rifle guard. And look, another attack straight away. Let's look at army values. 12 to my opponent, 17 to me, 13 to my opponent. So, you know, it's just a mistake of positioning on my part. I've got the advantage, but I'm, you know, rapidly losing it. I had to move that tank away from these sold troops and attack these lot, because there's no point in wasting its shots like that. Now I realised I can't keep doing what I'm doing and responding. I have to send something to attack, and I was hoping there was an expansion without too many heavy defences there. And I saw this tank drove away, so I've got a few units, look. But I knew I couldn't just let my opponent dictate the game until I lost. And I'm trying to start recovering some economy, look, some of my supply of cash. And I've got this force here. But my thinking was, look, I'm moving across the map to this side and attack here. But I was hoping to reveal enemy units as I went, in case there was any forces here, look, which they have done. That's ideal. I could have used these three to reinforce them and defeat this force. But here we go, I've got an attack on these ore trucks here. To be fair, they should probably have moved on, making this a worthless, useless attack. Now, I saw them and this large force look approaching, and it's way too much for these guys. That's bad. And this force here, I was trying to get there to regroup. They should be, could have defeated them. So you see, that's a big mistake, that attack. I got some ore trucks, but nothing else really. They're in low power. So I'm trying to group a decent force together, while leading these tanks away to distract them. Go on, keep going. And all these units following them, that's great. It's kept them out of the game. They've stopped. Too smart for that. And now I decided to break them up in different directions in case they were still being followed. So my opponent's got that heavy tank, look. It made it up this way. I think that was that one that survived that battle, so it's very nice work letting that still have an effect. And this tank, I've ordered it over here to the oil derrick. This one's idle, and I've got rid of the tank with a flame turret. 23,000 army value to my opponent, 17,000 army value to me. And my tank, I don't know how they've not spotted it. And look, I caught their MCV. That was a very nice catch. Now, I could attack this and they wouldn't have any defences, and that tank wouldn't stop me. So it was just these caught my MCV at the same moment. And I thought these were escorting it, but very lazily. A very sloppy escort, very loose. No good at all, and that's what happens. So I was happy about catching their MCV, and then I was presented with that. Now, it's a tiny little force. I should have destroyed it, but instead I'm regrouping all this together. Primary production's over here. Look, there. Because I've got no base defences now with that one. Now, my opponent hasn't here either, but I've sent this small force. There, look, I'm attacked. I wiped out that small army. Realised how useless and tiny it was. And I'm attacking this ore truck. Will it escape? Yes, it has. Now I'm going for the power plant. Power's a favoured target of mine. Those tanks are just going to get swarmed. They can attack their own refinery to do it though. And now there you go, there's another MCV for my opponent. And I've got one set up there, look. Now I can start building again. Because I lost one earlier here, don't forget. So it was very bad. My opponent had an MCV after I destroyed theirs. Now they've got two. And I'm falling back because the massive army's attacked. They're at 28,000 army value. 29, 30,000. I'm at 22. So yeah, my opponent's got two MCVs. That puts them at a big advantage. And look at this small force having to stop all this. But I've got to make the best of it. So I'm positioning these units so they're actually in the battle, not at the back too much. Getting base defences there. And reinforcements. And look, I can tell there's a massive enemy army. I'm just hitting tanks at the moment, so that's basically doing nothing. I decided to place that anyway. Maybe use that as a screening unit if I had to. But then I thought, well, now it looks even. So I'm getting these tanks to screen these infantry. Because all you need to do is draw fire with the tanks. They don't literally need to be in front of them. As long as they're closer to the enemy, they'll draw the fire. And it's how you can get units to tanks to screen infantry units without literally getting them in front of the infantry you want to screen during a battle. You don't necessarily have to do that. But I thought, well, that's something. I've fought them off. That large attack that I thought I'd lost at one point. But my opponent's still at 18,000 army value. I'm at 10. And we've got a small force here, but it's only infantry. There's a rocket soldier trying to attack. But it's only infantry. And I've got a small force here, and primary production. It's just I'm not really prepared. And I'm moving this force. I didn't want to attack this way and just lose this to a counter-attack that was pointless. And now look at this attack. I was trying to call everything together, and look what's happened. The only units I had in defence, I moved away. So I've lost primary product. I mean, not primary. I've lost the service depot, so I can't build main battle tanks. So I have to build. I'm building no vehicles at the moment at all. So now what I need to build is APCs. Looks like something's there being built just slowly. And look, I engaged my opponent's force without my tanks in position. By the time they were in position, I'd been caught out. And there's too much there, look, so I'm trying to retreat with what few assets I can. And here, I know I've defended this and won this engagement, but I lost my service depot. Now, I've got a radar dome, and because I've had to pack this up, I'm not building any structures now. Well, I've got a decent supply of income. I lost an ore truck to these guys, very little. And I didn't even have the assets to check what was destroying my ore trucks up there. And everything's trying to retreat and make a stand, because there's a reasonably decent force. There's 4 heavy tanks with it, so it's a problem. So I'm trying, this is my main focus. And they're very broken up and out of formation when they've engaged, so they've lost that force. They're left with 4 heavy tanks and, yeah, a couple of assets, but I was like, oh, okay, if you want to feed that army to me for free, no problem. Now the tanks can escape, but at least I fought them off. And look, there's a large army and these 4 heavy tanks, they're doing damage on their way out, and they're going to then have a large army to back them up. So you've instantly got another army again by combining them. Imagine if my opponent had just let these die up here. They would only have infantry and I could crush them, because I've got APCs and infantry and building production. There's 3 heavy tanks heading this way for my expansion. And yes, this is the bad part. I'm taking these heavy losses. Look, I've only got APCs, that's it. I've been overrun at my main, but it has left me still with... I've got a barracks, a war factory, a radar dome, so I'm training thieves, APCs, although I've stopped building APCs. Because I only ordered a few when I realised I wasn't building anything. Now, this is overrunning my forces. I'm trying to get these ore trucks out of there, but, excuse me, this is all lost, sadly. And the heavy tanks have slaughtered my troops. They have stolen 1 heavy tank. That was a thief, and they can't be suppressed. So a thief, when he's running to steal a vehicle or infiltrate, if he's under fire, he won't lie down and be suppressed. He won't start crawling. You see, these infantry, as soon as they were shot at, they're suppressed, look. And they're less dangerous, they move more slowly, they attack less often when they're suppressed. But the suppression time was reduced recently, so you need to keep suppressing them, but thieves can't be suppressed, so they'll continue moving at full speed towards a tank that's firing at them. So they are very handy in that sense. But I've taken heavy losses to my main source of eco, and no ore trucks. There's 2 here, but I'm not actually using them. This was... they've cleared up my main base, but this was the end. So I'm bringing my MCV, couple of engineers, few thieves. Let's just check my opponent. I've got 0 cash. My opponent's got 3.5 grand. So now I've got 3.5 grand, and they've got very little. So there's an infiltration. There's another thief. I should have used it. Although he has sold that refinery, I should have used that thief to steal one of these tanks. But I'm capturing the war factory and barracks, bringing in a few more troops. And these guys are the clearing, the clean-up crew. Yeah, look, I noticed I had a thief, and he was shot before he could make it in. Very good units, those thieves are brilliant. You know, a load of thieves could take these tanks. And then the infantry you produce would make an army in the enemy base. All I'd need is, you know, other assets to support it. But there you go, I've lost that. There's the point at which I called it, because obviously these were just clearing up. It was a matter of time. The only difference being that if I didn't surrender would be, you know, just more losses. So that's what the point at which I called it. And that was a good game, a good fun game. That was my second game of the day, this one. And I thought I'd post this one because it's a decent length game. And a fairly decent battle. I enjoyed that one. It was just a shame I couldn't win it because I haven't got enough practice lately at the long game, and I know it's only 20 minutes, just over, but you know, that's the mid-length game, and I just, you know, if you're out of practice, you can't take on competent players like that into the long game. So I'd need a few more games after this. Like I say, it was only my second game of the day. I'd need to warm up properly. But I'm going to get back at it, have a few more games, so I hope there'll be a few more for you to watch very soon. I've actually got some replays saved up, but I'll just go through the graphs and charts on this one. There's the army graph. Look how even we were quite early, but I did have a spike in army value, but I had suffered heavy losses there. Look, that was obviously a crucial point because I was behind for the entire game after that. Very crucial point. Earnings graph. Yeah, some ups and downs. That's probably my infiltrations, look. But, you know, my opponent had a far more stable income, although he had an increase there. I think my opponent used some thieves. I heard something. Oh, no, it was probably me stealing that. But I thought I had a theft warning. My opponent's finishing army, V2 launcher, 10 heavy tanks, and a decent amount of infantry. 32,000 army value, that's a good one. They lost 4 structures, I lost 29. My opponent killed 468 units, I killed 357, so it was a decent battle. They destroyed 127,000 credits worth of my assets. I destroyed 85,000 credits worth of theirs. That's what you call a beating. Production, are still building defences, infantry and tanks, standard stuff. They did invest in tech eventually, but it was over by the time they got it into play. Here's the economy. They've got 8 ore trucks, and they earn 157,000. I earn 142,000. Not much cash left, either of us, which that doesn't matter. You need to spend it as you get it. But my opponent was at 24 actions per minute. I was at 33 actions per minute. That's about my average, that. Usually about that pace. There's the scores, 1228 to 1052 to me. To my opponent, obviously, 1228. I got 1052. And there's your graphs and charts and stats. I hope you enjoyed that game. I'm going to post this one on its own, I think. So, you know, it's fairly decent length game, a mid-length game at just over 20 minutes, so I think it should stand alone alright. Fairly decent game. If you enjoyed it, give us a sub and a like, and like I say, I've got more replays saved and waiting to post soon, and hopefully I'll have some decent new games to add to them. So, but a good brand new game is always a priority over an older post that I'm saving, because a new game reflects my current skill level, rather than an older game that I may have been really good at the time or really bad at the time or whatever. So brand new posts, because they reflect the current state of things, do tend to take priority. Like I say, this was my second game of today, so, you know, this one took priority. It was a fairly decent game. Shame it didn't end up in my favour, but it was a good battle. Well played to my opponent, and like I say, I hope you all enjoyed it and that. And until next time, take good care of yourselves. Thank you and goodbye.
Battle control terminated.